get to it. But we got AJ on the line right now. Good morning, AJ. Welcome to the David Carrier Show.
How you doing today?
Just perking and working, man. I'm having a ball. How can I help?
All right. So, all right, I got a question. I have my own small business. I had it since 2008. I'm kind of phasing myself out of it, and I'm trying to decide, is it something that I just kind of dissolve, or is it worth anything? So I'm not really sure where to go with it.
All right.
Do
So
I
the
sell
first,
it? Can I sell it?
well, it depends what kind of business it is. What do you do?
It's a auto glass company.
Well, why not? I mean, you've got equipment, you've got a name, right? How do you
Right.
get your business now?
Just through the advertising, online, social media.
Yeah. Do you get any referral work? People happy with you?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much small business. I do about 6 figures a year.
Okay.
Just doing my own thing.
How many employees, or is it you? Are you solo? Are you a solo guy, or?
It's just me. Yeah, just me by myself.
Okay.
But I'm getting older, so.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So here's what and I got 3 minutes left, which is not enough time. But let me just answer this part, and we can figure it out, the rest going on in the next segment, if you don't mind hanging on. But the key, here's the thing: you absolutely have a saleable business. Absolutely, you do. Look, think how long it took you to get to 6 figures with auto glass, right? There are things that you know that are not obvious. Okay, that's the most important part of any business. It's not you're like, when you look at your tools and you say, well, I got an old rubber thingy gasket putter in her, and I've got the calibration stuff for the new modern blah blah blah, because it's got to read through the windshield. And but anybody could buy that for X $100, $1,000, whatever. It's not really worth that much. You're completely overlooking the most valuable part of that business. Okay, and we'll get into that. That when we get back. Fair enough. Because you absolutely do have
yes, sir.
Okay, you absolutely do have a saleable business. There's no question about it. How much? What is it worth? We'll talk about that when we get back. But yeah, that's the
perfect.
It's exactly. There are probably half a dozen guys, maybe even listening to the show, who are like, holy crap, I can buy a I can buy a $100,000 a year business. Where do I sign up? All right. The problem is not that there aren't businesses out there to be sold. There's not profitable businesses. Okay, but we'll talk about that when we get back. Fair enough? Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. And now's the time to give us a call, 616-774-2424. If you have a question, comment, or concern about wills, trusts, probate, long-term care, asset protection, real estate, or business law, or anything else you want to talk about, that'd be fine too. Just give us a call, 616-774-2424. You can always go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com, and call the office from there, or drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. We're talking with AJ this morning. AJ has a small business. It's a personal services business, automotive related. And the exact kind of business is not really the point. But it sounds like it's not, we're not rebuilding transmissions or engines or anything like that. It's something where you need some basic skills, you need some people skills, and some, well, nowadays though, AJ, we got to recalibrate all your cameras and stuff. That's got to get into some money, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah,
the equipment for that, it could run anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. And that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of phasing out, is because I don't want to get into that big ticket items when I'm kind of want to sort of phase out of it and retire.
Got it. So now here's what I want you to do. Think about how many dollars you took in, or you usually take in on an annual basis. Like how many dollars come in the door, okay? And then subtract what you would pay somebody to do the various things that you do. Because you do the windshield installing, you do the ordering, there's all kinds of things that you do, right? if you had to pay somebody to do
Correct.
those, how much would you pay them? Like if you're
Yeah,
working
you're
for an
probably
auto
looking at
glass company, how much do you pay somebody to do that, to actually put the windshield in?
yeah, if you hired a manager to do something like that, you'd be paying them, $55,000-$60,000, probably on the low side. I mean, so
Okay,
it would be pretty labor intensive if that's was a full time job for them.
right. So
But
in your situation, what would you pay somebody to do what you do? If you had to hire somebody, if you had to hire it done, how much would it cost?
yeah, definitely, yeah, it would be about 50 grand.
Okay. And then how much do you take in
So,
after you've paid for the rubber and the glass and every other thing you got to pay for? How much money is left over?
right, on the profit margin side of it. So
Yeah. So
if I'm doing six figures after taxes and after your deductions and whatnot, yeah, I mean you're maybe 35,000
okay.
on the high side of it, maybe.
All right. So make my numbers easy.
I'm
Let's call it
not a mathematician, but
yeah. Well, let's say after, let's say when it's all said and done, the business has an excess value of about $40,000 a year, meaning that
right.
that if
On the net side, correct.
right, if I wanted to, and usually they do it pre-tax, but that's all right. We'll go with net. So if I'm
Okay.
if I'm looking, if I'm working for one of the companies that does this kind of work, right, and I'm getting paid X amount of dollars, I could get paid that same amount of dollars plus an additional 40,000. So 40,000 is what you think of as the incremental value of the business, the amount that it's worth more. Then the question is, well, how much money do I have to have invested to kick out $40,000 a year? Right. So if I'm doing the same old thing I've been doing, but now I'm getting an additional 40, if I had $100,000 invested at 100,000 at 8% interest, which is the interest rates now, I'm getting $8,000 a year. In order to get 40,000,
Right.
I've got to have 5 times as much. I've got to have $500,000 invested in a CD to kick off an extra 40,000. So you could say, some people do, this is what we call capitalizing the income stream. All right. You take it and you say, well, if I had borrowed the money, okay. Now, that's hard to do, right? With a smaller business, which is relying on the person. And it's not like a CD because it's not in a bank. I actually have to get up every morning and do my thing, do the work. Okay. So there's a discount from might say, well, it's just like having a $500,000 CD. Well, that's a way to think about it. But you might also say, well, it's more like having a $200,000 CD, right? That's paying what do we say? 40,000. So 20%. So it's like getting a 20% rate of return. Well, you can't get 20% anywhere. No, you have to work for yourself.
No.
So if you're asking me, is the value of the business zero? No way is it zero, right? It might be, if you want a 40% rate of return, it's 100,000. It's 200,000 to give somebody a 20% rate of return on their investment. Okay. So if you think about it that way, if you think about it, not in terms of, oh, I've got some gloves and I got some glass and I got some this and that. Don't think about it like that. Think about it as a black box, right? If I could sell you a black box that every year kicked out $40,000, what would you pay for a black box that would do that? Well, if it's given to me by a bank and it's reliable and blah, 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 I might pay, $500,000 for that 8% rate of return. But it's not that. I've got to work at it. I got to wake up in the morning. I got to be responsible. I got to do all these things. I'm not going to, I know it kicks out 40,000 a year for that particular black box, but there's a lot of care and feeding of that black box that I've got to do. Now, my good friend AJ will explain to me just how to take care of the black box so it continues to kick out that additional $40,000 a year. He's a great guy. That's wonderful. Okay. I might give you $200,000 for it, right? I'll make my money back in 5 years, right? And away you go. Because think about what it took. I mean, how long have you been in business, AJ?
Since 2008.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So here
That's
it's been
20.
15 years, right? 15 years
Yep.
to get to where you are. And now you know how it's done in order to secure yourself the income that you've been getting on an annual basis. So what would somebody pay? That's the question, right? What would somebody pay to learn how to do that themselves? I'm going to guess that there are windshield installers at franchise operations, right? Who would like to know what you know, who would like to do what you do. Okay. I mean, that's your market, right? They already know how to put a windshield in, but now they need to know all the other stuff that you already know. They need the tools that you already have. They need the rental space that you've already got. They need the online ads and et cetera, that you can show them how to do. See, that's where the value is.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So, and most young guys out there, they don't have $200,000 floating around. Okay. So you do partly they buy in, and then they do what they call an earn out. So you make the 40,000 for the next X number of years, helping the guy do what he's doing. And you have a real incentive to do that, right? Because that's how you're going to get paid.
Correct.
So he's learning on the job. And then you have that kind of smooth transition, right? Where now you've been paid, he's doing the work, right? You can relax, done and done. But you
Gotcha.
definitely look, if you're realizing from your business any increment of value over what somebody who's doing that same job is getting paid, now you got value in your business. And then the only question is, how do we extract the value in a way that you actually get it? But the last thing you want to do, the absolute worst, last, terrible, horriblest thing, which everybody does all the time, is they just shut the doors. And it's like all the value goes right out the window. It's like, don't do that to yourself.
That's my biggest struggle, because I know there's got to be something, even though, like I said, the material and the equipment is very minimal. It doesn't cost a lot of money to own the equipment. Your biggest investment is probably your vehicle, because it is a mobile service for the most part,
right?
Primarily. And, and then the other things that you have are, they're just basic tools. But the biggest part is just, having a good business sense, like you said, good personal skills, and the knowledge of how to get that business and keep it, make you money on a daily basis. So
that's where the value is.
I always felt that I'm the business. If I quit, then the business is done. So I don't have that side of the experience, that side of it, to say, okay, what is the actual value of what I built, even though there's nothing physical, so to speak, that you can sell somebody other than the name. And
I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that. That music means we got to get out. You can stick around if you'd like,
Okay.
or we can wrap it up here. But you've got there's a lot of value in what you're talking about.